Are you someone who's really looking to build your money mindset, really work on your finances? Maybe that's a challenge in your life. Well, today I'm going to talk about 5 lessons I learned from the book Busting Loose from the Money Game. So, welcome to today's episode. Now, these are Wealth Wednesdays, and on Wealth Wednesday, I share something I've learned about wealth, finances, money, because whilst money isn't everything, it is a huge factor in life. I'm just going to say that, right? People say it's not important, but you want to buy something for your loved one, you want to take them somewhere, you want to pay the bills. Money's involved, right? Someone gets really, really ill, and you got to pay for like some medicine or an operation, right? Money's involved, right? So at the end of the day, money is relevant in this day and age, and I know many of us are challenged with it. And I'm always going to be working on my money stories and my wealth mindset. And that's why I've made this episode specifically on Wednesdays around money. And some of the best teachers in the world have written books around money. And there have been lessons I've learned and I've implemented them in my life to help me with my money. So that's what I'm doing on these Wednesdays. So today I'm talking about Busting Loose from the Money Game, which is an amazing book, and I'd highly recommend looking it up. Now, it's a little bit different. All the books are different for one another, obviously, but it's got very unique perspective, and it's not about like what stocks to invest in. It's not about what real estate to invest in or crypto or anything like that. It's a fair few years old now, but it's looking at the way energetically you look at money and the way you go through life. Now it has got that spiritual sense in it in terms of things showing up, but it also makes a lot of sense when I think about how I've applied it. And if you're someone who really struggles to buy into the spiritual side and really likes the science side and the logical base, I was there as well, by the way. What I found really helpful is writing down evidence of this kind of thing showing up in my life. And that has really, really helped me as a result moving forward in my life. Because when I've done things like felt grateful and taken aligned action and then started writing these results, it gets my left brain on board. It gets that analytical side. It doesn't always buy into the spiritual side. So that'd be my share, first of all, that if you struggle to get on side with the spiritual side of money, then just start writing evidence of when money's come out of nowhere, like as in suddenly something was paid to you that you weren't owed when you were feeling good, or a situation's worked out in your favor. So I want to go through these 5 rules with you today. So number 1, the traditional rules of money follow these kind of perimeters. I'm struggling with that word, right? That money is limited, money is separate from you, and you have to work hard to get money. Those are kind of some traditional myths and stuff around money. And the book says that's not true. You got to bust loose from that. And I can prove to myself that those are all not true as well. And it is hard to break out of when we're conditioned and we hear these things growing up, right? But I want to go through some ways that I realized it wasn't true. Right, the first one, and this is all point number 1, by the way, I recommend getting the books highly. You notice that some people always have money. And even when there's shortages of money and whatever the news or the economy is saying, that some people always have money and there's always money to buy certain things in the world. Whilst, there's certain people, certain situations who have less money, right? But that would suggest if money was limited, nobody would have any money anywhere, right? But there's certain situations, there's certain projects that are always have money, right? So therefore, money's just in certain places. So therefore, money is not limited, right? If people can make it constantly, you've got the ability to make it. So that disprove. And if you want to have the belief that money's limited to you, that's fine. But how's that working out for you? Not very well. So if you think money is unlimited, that is a bit, I'll tell you about this in business, right? I'm not a multimillionaire, as I share, but I've done different things. I've done sales, I've done podcast coaching, I've done life coaching, and I've had some very wealthy people pay a lot of money for things I was selling or like a service like podcast coaching. And for them, it wasn't a lot of money. Other people I've spoken to, and they're like, oh, it's such a lot of money, when it's like being like a tenth of what I was charging another time, right? What that shows is that money is just in certain places and people view it differently and people perceive different values. So therefore money can't be limited. So when you start thinking like that, it really, really helps, I found. The next point to that, and the next traditional rule, is money is separate from us. You know, like money, everything that's been created has been created by the imagination of a person. So therefore, and then that's generating their money. So therefore, how can money be separate? Because that came from an energy. Anything, when you've got a job, how did that happen? Like, and then you get paid from that job. It came from your imagination or your plan or what was coming on your mind. I want to go get that job. So therefore, I'm going to do it. And then money came to you. Like, people who are very inventive but not scared to get out there and showcase and market, they make the most money, I often find. Like, because, and money is not separate because energetically they're putting a lot of value into the world. So therefore money can't be separate from us. It is our ideas, and money comes from value, and money and value comes from our energy, from our thoughts, from our ideas. So therefore, how can money be separate? When we start perceiving like, well, I can't have money, that's the way we're thinking. So therefore, the way we're thinking is we're separate from it, or we have to struggle to get it, right? So that's how I disprove that one. And you can argue if you want that these things like are true, but it does not help you, right? The next one, it's all about disproving limiting beliefs for me personally. So the next point is, what was the other one? Money is separate for you. Money is limit. You have to work hard to get money. Now, you don't sit on your sofa all day and meditate and just hope money's going to come to you, you know. That's just going to get you an eviction notice, as one of my teachers, personal growth teachers said, which is very, very true. But have you noted a time where money just came to you a little bit easier? I'm not talking like £1 million or dollars, of course, right? But I'm talking like, you know, suddenly you got a check out somewhere, or you got that unexpected promotion, or just like, or a pay rise, and you wasn't expecting it, right? That's when I've often found I was in flow. So for me, I started writing down evidence of when money did come a bit more easily to me. I was doing something, I was taking action, but I wasn't in that state of like, I've got to work so hard, I've got to exhaust myself to get any money, because that creates a bad frequency, and bad frequency pushes money away, I found personally, or doesn't allow as much to come in abundantly. So the first point I'm sharing, even though that was a bit on that, was that break free from those traditional rules by disproving them. Money is not limited, money is not separate from you, and money does not always require hard work. The second step is details don't matter. Focus on the vision and the next step. Right, know where you want to go. Like, what would be your dream life? Amazing, that's so fantastic, right? You could be a multi-millionaire, billionaire, whatever you want to be. That's often what people like say, be as far as you want to be. But, you know, there's going to be a next milestone. So maybe you're not hitting like X amount a month and you want to hit X amount a month, and then you got another one. So aim for your next milestone, right? But like, the thing is, I've been guilty of this where I've like planning step by step. It has to happen in this way. I'm going to make the money that way. It has to happen this way. This is the way it's definitely going to happen. Life doesn't work like that, right? I'm not saying don't plan. Having a plan is key, right? I need to budget my finances, understand where I'm at I look every day, look at my finances and stuff, but not in a place of scarcity, but I know where I am. So understand where you are, right? But then look at the next step, right? But don't be so attached to the details of like, it has to happen this way, because guess what? Life does not work that way. And not just money, it doesn't work like that way at all. It like could be a romantic relationship, you could be single, and you could be like, right, I have to meet the person this way. This is exactly how I'm going to meet them, right? I met someone amazing recently, and like, I could have never forecast the way I was going to meet her, right? Or like in the past when I've met like previous like dating relationship situation, I never figured out like that way, right? But then sometimes we're like, right, we got to meet him in that setting. Or it's like health, right? Now health is a bit, I guess that's a bit more different because you go to the gym and you eat healthy and stuff like that. So that's going to be a bit different. But any goal you got in your life, right? Know what you want. That's great. Be very clear, crystal clear on that, right? But then just think of the next step. So like health, it's like going to the gym. Like dating, it's like maybe you go to an event like where there's going to be a load of people. I would have said a dating app, but I just don't like dating apps. Or like money, right? Your next business move, just this feels right to start this, to do that. That feels right, and I'm going to do it. Don't talk about it, do it, right? So not getting too attached to the details of the plan is a key one that this book talks about. And I've certainly found that for me. Even with money, it's like, okay, I feel like doing this little boot camp here is going to be good. And then suddenly from that, someone from an event, I remember this is a few years ago, someone from an event that I'd done, not I hadn't done the event, sorry, I did this boot camp, this little boot camp online thing about podcasting. And then I went to this event, and then one of the people I met there was like, we added each other on social media. And then this person was like, I had no idea this person wanted to start a podcast. They saw I was doing a boot camp. They're like, can I come along? It was $30 just to join. So I put it really cheap. And then you could do an add-on. And then she added on all the bonuses. So she spent like $150 just to join, $150. Again, not mega bucks. I know that is. And again, what is big to you is always going to it's always going to be big if you see a big number, right? How you perceive it. But then like this person was like, I want to pay you thousands to work with me personally. It's like, I did not predict that was going to happen, right? But obviously I accepted it and we started working together. But like, again, that's not being attached to the details. And I've used a dating example already, but this is the finance one. Okay, so number 3 kind of leads on from that. Follow your inner guidance, even if it's not logical. Now, I don't mean do things stupid, like give all your money away to like someone who's asking for your bank details online, right? Actually, that wouldn't feel good anyway. That's a bad example. I'm not saying about suddenly like quitting your job when you got like no savings or no real plan. What may feel right for you is going into a certain business, amazing, fantastic, but maybe that's awesome. Go with it, even like the business doesn't seem logical. But then you think, okay, what is the next step from that, right? And just, think of a plan. But following your inner guidance will really serve you, because else we can get too much in the head. Now, use your head to plan. Go with your intuition, your heart. This is what has helped me. But then actually use the head to plan. I've done things that made sense on paper, but it just didn't feel good. So that is really, really key. Number 4, we are consciousness, but what we think and feel, we're often sharper than physical. This is really, really key. And not a lot of people like to hear this. Well, some people do. People in the growth space do like to hear it, and they can take it in. I'm very receptive to feedback. Even earlier, I was having a debate with someone who's a real amazing human being I respect. She's amazing. And me and her disagree on something. And she had some views, and I thought, that's brilliant. But I don't get offended because, like, I have my view, she has her view. It's beautiful. Like, as long as someone's not personally attacking me, which certainly nothing like that at all. But yeah, like, consciousness is really, really key. It is like how we feel, our feelings. Now, I'd look up the map of consciousness if you can. The lowest level a human being can be is shame. So like we feel shame about who we are, about life. The highest level is enlightenment. Now, not many human beings get to enlightenment. But then high levels are things like joy, love, acceptance. Middle, you sort of got courage. At the lower end, you've got your things like anger, although anger's higher than guilt or shame or depression. But then just look at that. But what goes on inside shows up on the outside. So if you're someone who's constantly scared and constantly in fear, that's going to show up on the outside. People attract things and people and situations, what's going on inside. And people don't like to take responsibility of that. But when you can own it, that's when more good things start showing up. Now, of course, you've actually got to take action in the physical world. Like, you can feel amazing and like really work on yourself, let out your emotions, feel great. Highly, highly recommend that. But like at the end of the day, if you don't go out and work in your job, you're going to be fired and have no money. If you don't go out and and work on your business, you're going to have no customers. You're going to like lose it, right? If you don't go out in the dating world, you don't go out and actually dare to go on the date, or you don't go out and meet people, it's not going to happen, right? So you actually do have to live in the physical world, right? You can feel good about your health, but you don't go to the gym, you don't eat well. It's not going to happen, right? But it all starts from consciousness and how you feel. So really work on raising how you're feeling about yourself. Feel gratitude. I have like gratitude alarms that go off several times a day. And then I do things that make me feel good, like podcasting, for example. But it will show up in the physical. Also, be cautious. I'll share this with you of what you eat. I'll recap all these points, by the way, at the end. Be cautious of what you eat, because that can affect your energy and how you're feeling on that consciousness, and therefore the results that show, that I personally found as well. And then number 5, the belief is only real if you make it real. I love this point. Some people, and I've been here, by the way, all of these, I'm a work in progress, right? These are what I'm learning, what I'm implementing. A belief is only real if you make it real, right? So money is really, really difficult, is a belief. And it will therefore sharpen your life that money's difficult. People were really challenging will sharpen your life. We go back, I know we're talking about money, but if you go to like dating, all men are assholes, if that's a heterosexual woman speaking. Chances are you're not going to be a good quality guy. Not impossible, but very unlikely. Or guys who think that about women, or same-sex relationship, or whatever situation you believe, right? The belief is only real if you make it real. So start becoming conscious of your beliefs around money in particular, what you believe. And then if you struggle to like think, well, I really find it hard to disprove that, look at yourself and look at other people in life to disprove those examples, right? So that's a key one I say as well on belief. It's only real if you make it real. So those are my points that I learned from Busting Loose from the Money Game. Really great book on money mindset and wealth, the way I think. So number 1, we'll go through these points again. Number 1, break free from the traditional rules by looking at evidence of why, and that kind of links to number 5 as well, why the traditional rules are false, right? Why is money not limited? Why is money not separate from you? Why do you not always have to work hard to get money? Why do you not have to be suffering? There's people who there's another point on that. There's people who like work hours and hours and multiple jobs and they don't earn much money. But there's other people who have got so much value and like intelligence because they focus in a certain area. They'll go into like a business, save them $500,000 and get paid like, I don't know, like 50,000 for that, right? Although they're working hard in the background, that's an example of not exhausting yourself to burnout, right? Number 2, details don't matter. Focus on the next step. Don't get so attached to the plan. Know where you're going. Like make initial plans to go towards it, but don't get attached to the plan because life will come in. Number 3, follow the inner guidance, even if it seems illogical or not logical. Of course, use your common sense, but yeah, follow your inner guidance. Number 4, we're consciousness, and what happens and how we feel will show up in the physical world. And then number 5, a belief is only real if you make it real. All right. So that's what I got for you today on Wealth Wednesday. Love that book. The book is Busting Loose from the Money Game. Look it up, get yourself a copy. I'm not a affiliate or anything, but it's a highly recommended book. So thank you so much for joining me today. And remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.